her phone call. She opted to punish the toddler by locking him in a room by himself.
Oh, here we go.
Won't you take me home? Give me wings to fly. We can run away. Castle in the sky. Won't you take me home and give me wings to fly? We can be alone in the castle in the sky. We can run away and leave this world behind. Please just take me home to a castle in the sky. Castle in the sky.
Now, I do want to give a fair warning because in that video, it's been recorded last month, and I sounded agitated. I was agitated. I had a difficult time, so you'll probably see that in the video. If you can't handle me swearing, then just come back for another video. Alright, so it works. We're not gonna react too long to this because it's a whole ass story. So I'll be doing a part 1, 2, and 3, and I'll be reacting like 10 minutes to this. The reason I've decided to do so is because I feel like there needs to be a better examination when it comes to how it happens, and I want to give my personal commentary to this, especially since as someone, and some might know, who's also suffering from autism, I can kind of get where the fuck up is coming from, but at the same time, I don't. I'm not like with his bullshit. I don't support it in any way. I don't feel sorry for her consequence that she's facing because what she did was absolutely reprehensible and evil. But with that said, I'm reacting to this because I was also back then when I reacted to this at work, I was shown this. And I believe I reacted to part 3 or some shit like this, and then it just stopped for me. But yeah, let's get started.
Weston Chandler, previously known as Christopher before an animatronic bear said his name wrong, which led him to have it changed. Soon to be known as Christine when she transitioned to be a woman, but online trolls call them Chris Chan. He's demanding a video showing his hoarding situation be taken off the internet so that his elderly parents won't have their house condemned by the government. Who would report him? Well, that would be a dedicated group of internet users who have cataloged this man's life for the past 15 years, making him one of the most well-documented people in human history, with his wiki containing thousands of pages. This includes a Nickelodeon cartoon character stealing his girlfriend, a doppelganger trying to steal his identity, him being catfished by a dozen different women, the destruction of his PlayStation 3 for a fake bounty, money stolen from his bank account. His house
this is what I've been wondering. Why is it always starting off, when it comes to bullshit like this, it always, either Nickelodeon has something to do with this shit, or fucking Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog, or My Little... Because with Nickelodeon, we had the fucking Danny Phantom killer who created his fucking OCs of this one fucking villain of the show. I forgot her fucking name. The one who played guitar, and then he made an OC, multiple variants out of her, treating her like some fucking goddess, angel, whatever this weirdo shit was, before he went to his workplace and murdered her. I ain't even gotta, like... I recommend y'all this with Danny Phantom Killer. For those who don't know, I'm talking about this shit right here. By the way, I'm subscribed to her. She's a very good... she can describe true crime scenes very good. This guy right here. Or we have the fucking... what's this dude's name? Hold up. Sonic the Hedgehog. Amy Rose. Since this is not too far off topic. Right here. It's not too far off topic. This motherfucker right here. Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm sure there's many more. Many more this crazy. And here we go. See, I'm not even going to. As I said, I'm not in the best of mood. So if I sound like kind of more bent up or pissed off, excuse me about that. Hopefully y'all still are able to watch this video anyways. And with that said, let's get into it.
The macing of a GameStop employee, running over a store owner with his car, getting tricked by the creator of the Super Mario Brothers, and having his character Sonic Chew stolen by a British sports commentator. Sonic Chew is a hybrid of Sonic and Pikachu that
Of
Chris
course he
created
is.
an entire comic series for. This character is also his real-life alter ego that he believes will one day bring about an interdimensional merge that will reveal him to be the reincarnation of Jesus.
See, this is the shit that I be talking about. Look, I used to be a Sonic fan, so I'm speaking from personal perspective. I used to adore Sonic the Hedgehog, the franchise, but as soon as they started off with the OCs and all this other bullshit, and I'm not hating on people with their OCs, but when it gets out of hand like this, I'm talking about the extremists, same with the bronies, when it goes down to this rabbit hole, then this is where it stopped for me. Especially since the game stopped being good anyways, in my opinion. Like, after Sonic Boom, I just dropped the shit. After Sonic Forces, I dropped the shit. That was when I was completely done.
But I think I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Alright.
Let's go back to the beginning.
The Chris Chan conspiracy. Oh, prime year right there before every shitstorm started.
So for years now, people have been asking me to do a video talking about Chris Chan, and the problem is I just never knew where to begin on the subject. So for the past month now, I've been trying to get in touch with Chris Chan in any way I could. But after all that failed, I messaged Poppets. He responded right away and asked me if I wanted to do an interview with Chris Chan, and the answer to that was absolutely yes. So
Alright.
within a few days, I get a cameraman, and I am heading down a couple hours, making a road trip out of it, to meet the notorious Chris Chan in person.
Alright. By the way, if you hear the tipping sound, that's my pen. I'm still drawing, working on my 5th volume while reacting to this. So, yeah, excuse me.
Is that it?
I mean, that looks...
Sonic Chew. Look.
Sonic.
Zoom in on the license plate.
Hold on.
Hold up.
Let's see if I can get that.
No, this dude actually...
Hello.
I'm not
Hi.
even going... As I said, I'm not making fun of him. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Hey. How are you?
Art, is that right?
By the way, as much of a horrible person she has become, I don't condone ableism in the comment section or making fun of Chris Chan because of I don't condone ableism. Like, y'all can say what y'all want. It's cringe, yeah, for sure. Give y'all opinion, but we'll keep it respectful, or we'll try to keep it respectful here, because to be honest, I think this shit needs to stop, where people make fun of people with whatever diagnosis and disability they have, because this shit to me is not a laughing matter. Just saying. Y'all don't have to agree with it, but let's just try to keep the comment section respectful. That's all I ask. Anyways.
I'm Jesse.
It's an honor to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Christine, hello. I'm Jesse.
Yeah,
Nice
Jesse.
to meet you.
Alright. Suppose we can go inside.
Yeah, let's go in there.
Okay.
We're gonna do the interview downstairs.
Okay. Oh.
Downstairs.
Damn, that's the dog? Wow.
Quiet down. Quiet down. Quiet. All right, everybody.
No, the dog was happy.
Oh. Okay.
No.
All right. Well,
Feel sorry for the
this
dog.
is very nice.
This is the room where it was like
This is where it all
Yeah.
Those dogs are screaming bloody.
Yeah.
They calm down.
See, this what I be talking about. My Little Pony. I'm not going in on bronies, but when it comes to this, with these OCs and people taking the shit way too far, My Little Pony usually plays a role as well. Same as with Sonic the Hedgehog. Just saying. I've been long enough on DeviantArt to figure this shit out. So, yeah.
Is that thing on right now?
Oh shit, but I gotta give him credit though, like with the Sonic Shoe plushies and the merch, like She been doing the work. Not finna take that away. Still, don't support it after.
Yeah, is that okay?
Oh. Hello. Hello out there, YouTube, the internet, all that. Hello. Hope you're all having a good day. There's your intro. Kinda.
Alright, yeah,
Alright.
good enough.
Even prior to his birth, Chris's parents' relationship gave many reasons for concern. Bob and Barbara Chandler were aged 54 and 40 respectively. At this later time in a couple's life, most are dissuaded by medical professionals from having children. This is for a variety of reasons. As many studies have shown, such an age difference would leave a large generational gap between parent and child.
Oh,
In some
shit.
cases, this can put the child at risk of growing up socially stunted. As from a biological standpoint, they also have a larger chance of facing health complications at birth. More specific to the Chandlers as individuals, however, was the hastiness of their relationship. Prior to Chris's birth, the two had been married for only 2 years. They'd wed quickly in a bid to escape their previous marriages.
Right.
Consequently, they held strained relationships with their previous families, with Barbara's in particular being intense. Additionally, they were both alcoholics, having even
hell
first
no.
met each other in a bar. Of course, that's not to say that their family unity was doomed from the start.
You sure?
In spite of these imperfections, it was far from unsalvageable. But these details are important in establishing that from their newborn's conception, it was an uphill battle. Such a dynamic requires a consistent and active effort to maintain normalcy, one that
Yep.
the Chandlers may have not been ready to face. Christopher Weston Chandler was
So wait,
born
hold
in
on.
Charlottesville,
This guy
Virginia.
says it's not up. It's not all the way bad yet, but yet says it is all the way bad because they were not ready for this. See, the guy who's making that video is also not being very consistent about it. Yes, it is the parents' fault, obviously, because at some point the parents played a huge part why Chris Chan turned as fucked up as she did. Like, that's not even a question. But at the same time, to say at first, oh, it's not over yet, hope is still there, but at the same time, it's already clarified that no, there was no hope left. It's like, it's weird. Like, which one is it?
Virginia on February 24th,
It's
1982.
just-
In those first few months of life, Chris was an average toddler. His first word, according to his mother, was monkey, a rather cute mispronunciation of mommy. However, it wasn't long before problems would arise. To start, in spite of having a newborn child, they continued their nightly routine of going out drinking. To babysit Chris, as well as his half-brother Cole, who lived with them at the time, they appointed Rochelle, a woman who lived in the same neighborhood as the family. Chris's sibling later recalled that it was apparent to him, even as a youngster, that she was unfit to be caring for children. As the story goes, one night in August of 1983, Rochelle became irritated with Christopher after he interrupted her phone call. She opted to punish the toddler by locking him in a room by himself.
Oh,
for the
here we go. This is another thing that I know. Like, these babysitters, they can play a huge, and I mean a huge part when it comes to, like, any child. I'm not even going to exclude because of the autism. But, like, when we look at Chris Chan and mainly the autism, with fucking babysitters, this is where the like, even in some of his Sonic Chu comics that I saw in some of the documentaries, mommy issues and fucking parental issues and babysitter shit, that kind of, the coping was already shown there. Like, the way he was writing that shit. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched some of it. And this shit right here, yeah, this is just traumatizing in general. Like, apparently, I don't even know. Is she?
Christopher, who was just 1.5 years old at
Is
the
she
time,
facing
was
punishment at all for
traumatized to
this?
the point that when he was rescued, he refused to speak entirely. In fact,
Yeah.
he regressed to the point of only communicating through screaming and crying for the next 6 years. To compensate for this newfound aphasia, his parents began taking him to attend speech therapy classes.
But she
which
not
is where
facing
he
jail
was
time,
first
no
diagnosed
charges,
as being
no-
autistic, with
didn't-
the doctor predicting that he would likely never write his own name.
They
let
didn't
alone
attempt to
make it
sue her?
high school. In a strange twist of events, Bob and Barbara would continue leaving Christopher with the delinquent babysitter for the next few years.
Fuck
likely
these
so
parents. Oh wait, hold on. I cannot disrespect. Like the father is dead. Excuse me. Rest in peace. But now the parents definitely played a huge part in the development that is Christine Chan now. Not saying that she's they're all to blame for this only because Christine Chan had a choice and she chose to do that evil shit. But it's like basically this shit right here. It just shows it. It just there you have it. There's your case.
They could
This is
continue
messed
their
up.
tradition of late-night benders. This led his
And all
stepbrother
over-
Cole to
all over
attribute
this shit,
Chris's
all-
early muteness as
All because you want to go outside late night partying. It was already over at the start. I'm not even going to get more into this, but
largely being the fault of their neglect, a trend that would only worsen with time.
Yep.
Though the assertion that neglect was the source of his autism is baseless, the babysitter's supposed actions undeniably exacerbated Chris's
Of
condition.
course.
And in spite of its immediate consequences, they failed to take many basic preventative measures. In 1985, a new family
Didn't even
moved
sue
to
the
Chandler's
fucking
neighborhood. With a
babysitters. I was
child
like,
of their
shit.
own, the families quickly became cordial with each other. This naturally led to Christopher becoming playmates with the couple's daughter, Sarah Hammer. Chris has a fond view of the years he spent with Sarah, reflecting upon them by proclaiming her to be a lifelong best friend. Unfortunately, the young girl would often pull mean-spirited
Oh,
pranks
of
on the
course.
autistic child. An
Of
example
course.
of this was when she once convinced Chris that the cartoon character, Casper the Friendly Ghost, lived in the crawl space under her home. Once the young boy had crawled
Yeah.
under the residence to look for himself,
I mean-
she proceeded to lock him in, trapping Chris until her father came to the rescue. While one could argue that events such as these implicate her as a foe, Chris insists far more positive than negative experiences. He dismissed them as just childish pranks, overshadowed by his cherished memories of them playing. According to Chris himself, it was her that brought him out of his autistic social shell for the time. At home,
Right.
Christopher's life was surrounded by music and pop culture. Unable to speak, he spent much of his time consuming children's entertainment such as Sesame Street, Care Bears, and Transformers. Bob even purchased a Commodore 64 home computer, sparking Chris's lifelong interest in technology and video games. His father was proud of Chris for being able to operate the personal computer before he could even speak, programming his own games on the console by age 6. Accompanying the
Hot.
Chandlers was their
Wow.
pet dog Patty, who Chris had picked out himself from his Aunt Karina's litter. At this point, his home life wasn't perfect, but it was comfortable. Unfortunately, things would only get worse when he began to attend school. The year was
Oh,
1987, when he was dropped at the front door of Greene County Primary School. With Chris's struggles to communicate, this marked the beginning of many obstacles he'd have to overcome in his academic career. In spite of this, Bob was optimistic. In order to inspire his son, he penned a heartfelt letter detailing his expectations.
The reason for this open letter to you, which will grow as time goes on, is that I know now that I, at best, haven't much time left to share myself with you. Particularly to share my things, my dreams, and my thoughts with you at a time in the future when you will be able to understand. Remember to use my things and carry on my dreams if you want to.
A distinct characteristic of the letter is that it's written informally. It's meant
Yeah.
to be read as if he and Chris were speaking face to face. A clearly intimate discussion. Bob goes on to explain personal matters such as his previous marriages and what he sought to avoid when raising Chris.
I didn't plan my life. I just took it as it came along. I seem to have had no control over it.
Hold on,
It
excuse me.
always
Does anyone else feel kind of weirded out or cringes at this? Not because of the letter or because of the speech, but because it's so personal that it just feels wrong to actually listen to it, because this actually shouldn't even be online. Like, this is how I feel when I like listen to this. Like, this is so personal, it shouldn't even be online, bro. It's like this shit, I don't know. Y'all can type in the comments. To me, it's kind of, yeah.
came
It's
along
kinda-
with what was right for me. Look at me 8 years ago in 1979, when I was really down and out. and ready to cash in my chips with heart problems that I didn't even know about. Your mother, Barbara Ann, helped me through the rough spots, and together we had you. Now I really had something to live for. No better things or
Damn.
events could have happened to me. We've
Rest in
come a
peace,
long
as I
way
said.
in
I'm
the
not.
last 8 years. Together we have built a whole new life with an exciting set of dreams.
But by far the most important message Bob wanted Chris to take away was the importance of legacy. He recounts the story of how he carelessly broke his late grandfather's straight razor, an item that held great sentimental value to him, and how it caused him to realize the respect he ought to hold for their memories. From this,
Oh,
he
wait,
hoped
I
his
remember
son
this
would
part.
cherish any future inherited
He sold
belongings
the
he might be
shit.
given by his father, such
He
as
sold
his
all of
prize
it.
stamp collection.
Do not be in such a hurry to use, play, or work with these things. First, learn all about them, how to use them and enjoy them, their value, and how you can thoughtlessly waste their value, then enjoy them as I have. As a boy, my greatest dream was to have inherited things from my mother, father, grandparents, etc. All of my books, stamp collections, and records. My dreams for you, your mother, and other personal things.
This idealized new life he wished to build with Chris and Barbara would culminate in the backyard of the Chandlers' house. In 1989, Bob created a plaque and placed it on their backyard shed, proclaiming it as the dreaming studio of Mr. C and Little C. It's here that he'd attempt to teach Chris how to create things. Evidently, the dreaming studio didn't last long enough to make a true impact on Chris, though, because in spite of the clear sentimental value Bob placed on his belongings, Chris would later sell his father's cherished stamp collection
Yeah.
in 2017. Using the
By the way, this is when I believe that was part 3 or 4 or 5, some shit like this. I stopped watching after this. I remember back then, because this just really pissed me off. I was like, nah, fuck this. Because how can you just sell off your dad's personal... He gave you that... You know what? I'm not even going to. Because we already know
Fits to
more
purchase
leads fucked
toys.
up.
While
That's
on
all
the
there is to
subject
it.
of games, when examining the Chandler's Christmas of 1989, it can be discovered that Christopher received a Nintendo Game Boy from Santa, his second ever video game console. It was that same year that the young boy purportedly began speaking again, with the help of his speech therapist. By age 7, Chris had defied the professional's original expectations of him, an accomplishment that he'd wear with pride for the rest of his academic career. Soon after regaining his voice, for unknown reasons, Christopher was transferred from Greene County Primary School to Nathaniel Greene Elementary to attend the 4th grade. Although he was still riding off the success of regaining his speaking abilities, the administrators at this new school were not as impressed. While we'll never know for sure what happened there, legal documents indicate that the district had attempted to place him at a separate special education school, a decision that Bob and Barbara fought tooth and nail. It's speculated that they felt Chris's recent successes proved he didn't need the accommodations. Additionally, given their advanced stage, they likely had a different perception of special ed than what was offered at the time. Regardless, the parents escalated the conflict. Chris recounts his experience at the school as one of frequent physical abuse, notoriously recalling an incident in which 5 facility members, including the school principal, pinned him down to the floor and recorded his cries on an audio cassette tape. Chris attributes this alleged assault to having been motivated by lust, going so far as to accuse the principal of being a pedo. He claims that the man had him sit on his lap before whispering quote-unquote offensive things to the young child.
Man, here we go. This is another problem with them schools, and I'm glad. See, if I can say something positive about TikTok's existence and social media entirely, is that more of these teachers are being called out for this shit. Because this kind of bullshit right here is exactly what messes up the child and potentially turns them into these fucking freaks. Like, especially with autism, you already have a different view and perception of reality than other people. That is mainly based off of depending on how strong the autism actually is, right? So as a parent and as a teacher and as any authority figure, you're going to have to explain to that person in a more different and in-depth tone than with others. But with this shit right here, using that authority to fuck up the child over your fucking disgusting lust is exactly the reason why a lot of these, especially now with Christine Chan, what she did, this plays a huge part if this is actually true, because alleged again. But this bullshit right here, I'm glad TikTok calls this out. More this shit is being called out, and more these kinds of schools. Yeah, it's fucked up, man.
However, given the detail that the alleged assault was recorded, some have speculated it's much more likely that Chris had thrown a tantrum.
Nah, wait, I believe this was at the times of 2000s. Of course, this was shrugged off because social media didn't exist, and the consequences, like, teachers usually got away with shit like this. So, of course, it can be true. Like, I'm not gonna disregard this. And again, I'm not here to make fun of the Christian or trying to go at the teachers for this, because I'm just here to give my commentary. So, yeah.
Facility members recorded his cries as evidence that he couldn't function in a mainstream institution. Upon learning of the incident, Bob filed legal action against the administration, causing Chris to be homeschooled during the proceedings. The case was eventually dropped in 1994. At this point, with the young boy's mainstream enrollment still in jeopardy, Bob and Chris moved to Chesterfield County so they could legally attend a different school district. This forced Bob to retire, becoming a stay-at-home father. In order to continue working her job, Barbara remained at their home in Ruckersville, though she would come to visit them every weekend. The decision to keep Chris in public school is perhaps the single most significant turning point regarding his early development. The failure to provide accommodations for his special needs led to feelings of ostracization and appeared to hinder Chris's social development. Jumping forward to the Christmas season of 1992, Bob and Chris made a stop at the Regency Square Mall. At this shopping center was an animatronic creature named Leonard Bernstein, who conducted a symphony orchestra as part of a musical program. The animatronic was designed to be interactive, engaging with the audience in conversation through its human operator. The crowd was light that Thursday afternoon, causing Christopher to be able to have a largely one-on-one conversation with the robot between songs. Chris was spellbound, leading him and Bob to watch the performance for the next hour. In the midst of their conversation, Leonard Bernstein asked Christopher for his name. When Chris responded, the operator must have misheard him, as he began referring to the child as Christian. Following that interaction, the mistake stuck, with Chris going so far as to request his name be changed from Christopher to Christian. Oddly enough, Bob and Barbara agreed, and had it legally changed the following year.
First mistake. Why would you entertain this? Why? I get it. Child, you want Christian to be happy, of course, but at some point you gotta ask yourself, how far are you willing to entertain it? And the consequences, of course, not visible now, can be shown later because of the delusions. Like, this already can play a huge part in why this certain development, especially with autism, can happen, where that person perceives, or that kid perceives, that, oh, well, they entertained this part, so maybe I can get away with more shit. That was their first mistake. They should have never entertained it, in my opinion. In my opinion, they should never entertain it.
First name bestowed
But again, I'm
upon him by an animatronic bear, the now adolescent boy continued his education at Providence Middle School in the fall of 1993. He later described this campus as being much more pleasant than Nathaniel Green, and attributes his happiness there to a teacher named Mrs. Sanford, who is to date the only educator that Chris has singled out favorably. She helped the child develop social skills and instructed him on how to cope with the verbal bullying he endured.
Awesome
Upon
teacher.
his graduation from Providence, Mrs. Sanford wrote a personal letter addressed to Chris, in which she gave him heartfelt advice and bid her well wishes.
If you show people where your weak points are located, then they will know how to push your button. If you never show them, they will never know. Do your very best at Manchester. Put your best foot forward and treat others as you wish to be treated. Love, Mrs. Sanford.
W teacher right here. You know what? I'm gonna stop it here because we're at 17 minutes and I don't know how long it will take with the video, but 17 minutes and 29 seconds. We'll continue from there. Part 2 will be coming. Please let me know what y'all think in the comments. I felt like doing this because I wanted to re-examine Chris Chan, and that's why I had to pause a lot, because I wanted to give my, it is a commentary video after all, not just a reaction video. So yeah. But if y'all want to watch the original video, I'll put it in the description. And with that said, I appreciate y'all watching, and I'm out.
I'm losing control over lights in the space. Keep jumping around, all I see is your face. Now you're moving closer, no time to escape. Your hand on my shoulder shoots me in